Like before becoming homeless, right, I was in search of what I wanted to do because I did sports science. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was just going with the motion, you know, family saying, okay, you have to go school, you have to go and study this. Then I did it, you know, it wasn't really my own, you know, being say, okay, Napa, let me go and study this course because I wanted to study it.
Yeah.
Let me go and do masters because I wanted to do masters. It was just, you know, okay, now you finish school, you go do college. After you finish college, you go to uni. People can say, oh, I'm your friend, I'm this, but when you're vulnerable, you're into this place for help, that energy might be different. I didn't want to feel like I'm a burden to someone else, so I have to take different precautions, which, you know, physically could have been not the best.
So guys, today's special guest, he has an amazing story which he's going to be sharing with us. He arrived in the UK when he was, I think, 10 years old. He's now an Amazon best-selling author, and he also mentors people about how to make money in property. So welcome, Napa Bafikele.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Zed. Do I say Ziad or Zed?
Zed.
Zed. Thank you for having me, bro.
So we want to tell everyone about your journey.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your journey from Congo.
So from Congo, cool. So I was born in Congo, came to the UK at the age of 10. Life in Congo was pretty standard, was decent. You know how you get the vision of Africa where it's like very poor, you know. But I didn't really come from that derelict poorest. We're just getting by okay. My dad moved to South Africa before moving to the UK. So when he came to the UK, that's when we joined him.
So why did he come to the UK?
I just think in the search of better life, you know, obviously Congo, even though as rich the country is in terms of like minerals,
yeah,
but in terms of like the probability of people getting jobs, you know, adequate paying jobs, the frequency of jobs the economy is quite terrible.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of people search on their way out in order for them to make a better living.
So you went to school here, right?
I came here, I think like halfway through year 5.
Actually, were you in Congo during the war?
Was the war in 98?
War was in 98 to 2022.
Yeah,
2002, yeah.
I recall being in the war, yeah.
Okay, so how was it living in a war-torn country, essentially? So
if I can properly remember, right, there's a borough or an area called Matete, right? So some part of my family lived in the area, and then there was like a base for the army in that area too. So during the war, because we had a curfew, I think like 6 o'clock people have to be in.
Oh wow.
And then you just hear like gunshots, bah, bah, everywhere. You just see blinders, lights. It's like fireworks in a way, but because we were so young, like you just sit down, right, you start hearing gunshots, and then someone will just pick you up, cover your face, and take you inside the house. So
did any of your family have to join in the army to fight?
Nah. I don't think we don't have. We don't have that type of, you know, rules and regulation where if you're at a certain age you have to join the army. I don't think we have that.
So you came to the UK in search of a better life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Talk us through your early years to your teenage years.
The struggle is the language, because, you know, people that do migrate to France, Belgium, or French-speaking countries, they have that leniency. They can just go in, settle in, because the language is, you know, is quite the same. But for all my family, we had to adapt to a new culture. We have to adapt to a new language. Also, the thought process or the mindset of people that had, you know, when you're from Africa, you're a certain type, you know, certain jokes. But throughout primary school was decent. I think what kind of helped me not to be, you know, on the back end was playing football. Playing football was quite decent. You know, you kind of accumulate friends, you know, through that aspect. During break time, people want you on the team. Because I didn't go in saying that I speak Lingala when they're speaking French. So we'll claim to be French than Congolese. So when someone asks you where you're from, I say France. And then because I speak French, you know, I kind of...
You can get away with it.
Get away with it.
If you said you were Congolese, do you think it would have had a negative impact?
Yeah, because you kind of get like the racial, kind of,
Yeah.
they will mimic how Africans speak. They will mimic their monkey chants. They will mimic, stuff that displayed by the media about Africa, poor, skinny people, like bugs, stuff like that, diseases. So, but once you say, oh, I'm from France, I'm French, they start comparing to like footballers. Oh yeah, you're not Thierry Henry. At that time, that advert was quite popular with the Renault Vavavoom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, you kind of get mixed into that aspect in terms of, being discarded.
Did you actually face racism as well?
100%. I wouldn't say it was, obviously you're young.
Like directly?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was like, you're freaking black or you this.
Yeah.
But it would be certain, they'd be like, oh, my name is Napa, stuff like that. But indirectly, yeah, but directly someone calling you, you're black or you're this, maybe for an argument or a fight, but intentionally maybe not really.
Okay, and then after you finished school and everything, did you go to college, or what was your education like?
So after, primary, secondary, the natural progression, then I went into college, Seton Islington, the one in Angel.
Yeah.
So I went there 2 years, done sport and exercise science. After that, I went into university, Bedfordshire.
Okay, so you were also homeless during part of your life as well. So when was that, and how did that happen?
So that occurred in 2015.
Okay, so that was recent.
Yeah, I would say that was like my second birth,
Okay.
Because when that happened, it kind of propelled me to take control of most things. Because in a way, I kind of gave up on dependency. I got let go from my job when I needed it the most. I got kicked out of my house from my dad. I couldn't really depend on any structure. So it was only, Napa, you got you. So I had to kind of find a way of being independent, solely rely on myself. That was one of the main motivations.
So, before you were homeless, what were your goals of life, or what were you doing?
Like before becoming homeless, right? I was in search of what I wanted to do, because I did sports science. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was just going with the motion, family saying, okay, you have to go school, you have to go and study this. Then I did it. It wasn't really my own, being say, okay, Napa, let me go and study this course because I wanted to study it.
Yeah.
Let me go and do masters because I wanted to do masters. It was just, okay, now you finish school, you go do college. After you finish college, you go to uni. After that, you go and do your masters. But graduation, I was still what do I want to do in life? I also been even growing up, being very independent. Most things that I wanted, I had to fetch for myself. So, like, to depend on people wasn't really my forte. And then employment, I just struggled to be employed. I hated the application. Like, once you say to me, every job that I've got growing up, I went in, I spoke to the manager, and then called come for an interview. I never done an application form. The moment is like, that is intact, I'm out. So
why do you think that is? Is it like a mental block, or?
I don't know. Sometimes it's like, subconsciously we all know why we want a job.
Yeah.
Right? And then I think when we come in, you ask me, why do you want this job? Tell me. It's just a mask, innit? You can come in and say, you know what, I'm passionate about property investment, to work in a state agency. Really, like...
You're coming to get paid.
Put
it bluntly, yeah.
The exact same thing as footballers, right? Now, every kid growing up, I want to become a footballer. I want to do this. If it wasn't really paying as what it pays now, would I really be that passion of becoming a footballer?
Yeah.
So let's cut, with, but just get straight to the point. So for me, like, doing application forms, I just struggled with it. Sometimes I just struggled with, because I'm quite direct as a person, But to give like an essay of an answer just to make one point, I kind of struggled with that as well.
So did you work in the sports science field?
I worked at the gym, fitness instructor, personal training.
Yeah.
Then I was doing football coaching, so that's what I did. But at the same time, I wanted to find another route of experience because I was like, I've always been into sports. Like, that's all I knew. So I went into recruitment, like office work, you know, like I'm part of society, I'm dressing like everybody else is, I'm taking the train, going to work, I'm in a sports gear. So that was quite different, you know, going in, it's an office, you're sitting and you have a screen in front of you, you have the office politics, you got the staff room, like it was new to me, but before just like gear, I'm in control. I train someone, they go, you know, I'm in balance of everything. But that was different. And then after that, then I got headhunted to work for the body coach. So now I'm going back into my fitness, you know, but the difference is now I'm behind the scene, I'm at the screen,
Yeah.
assessing people and helping them, you know, with the fitness goals. Then, you know, that was like my work history, and then I got fired. Then I went into telesales.
And then how was the change from fitness to recruitment, back to fitness, and then into telesales? Because telesales is constantly on the phone and it can get so boring.
Very. The transition from fitness to office, I enjoyed it because I wanted something different. I was in that stage where I peaked in that industry. There wasn't really anywhere for me to go. Either if there was any progression, was to go into the office, either sales, management, or you know. But on the gym floor, I peaked. But to transition into recruitment was decent, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the office atmosphere. You know, even though there was politics, but it was something different that I embraced.
Yeah.
Then going back to the fitness, but now I'm working from home. You know, I'm alone. There's no that buzz of people around you. I thought I enjoyed the process, but I never.
Did that demotivate you, not having people around you? Because now, like, working from home is a normal thing now.
It was the first time because, you know, before I was thinking, you know, if I get into it, I can control my time.
Yeah.
But once you get into it, it's like you have to be on the screen. You have to be active for them to know that you're active. You know, so I didn't have the flexibility that I thought.
Were you moving your mouse and pretending you're making phone calls?
Yeah, so 8 o'clock you're up, move the mouse, so they know you're active. 10 a.m. I'm watching Homes Under the Hammer, but pretending to be, you know. But then again, with that job, they wanted you to be very thorough with your answers. They wanted to be elaborate, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, you can say to me, how do you get to my office? You know, go to Morrison, bus a right, walk down, is there. But they want to give that, once you see Morrison, it has a massive sign that says Morrison, it's green, it's there. You see state agency here, too much. Just get to the point.
A bit more, you just wanted to be a bit more direct.
As a person, I am very direct. So even with the telesale, that one was good in a way because there's targets to hit and I enjoy that. Then you have to learn the script, you have to engage with people, you have to build rapport, you have to embrace rejection, you know. So that was a good experience for me.
And then what was your next step in your life after that?
Property.
So, was it when you left the telesales job, you became homeless, and then you met Des?
So with the telesale, I've got kicked out of my house. So I got served a notice on a Thursday.
Okay.
And on a Thursday, so on a Saturday, that was my deadline to leave. I left. So on a Monday, I was going into, because I was doing part-time, I was going into increase my hours. And then the office was empty. Imagine it's a massive office, like different companies, empty. And then the manager was like, don't come back until I tell you to come back. Then I was like, what's going on? He was like, no, don't worry, we got to sort some things out. You go home, but before you come in, I'll give you a call. That's a Monday. So Tuesday, I went into Chapel Market in a cafe waiting for a phone call. Got the phone call saying, oh, we lost the contract. Everyone have to go, including myself, including the cleaners. Literally everything has folded. So so I'm in a position where, what do I do now? Now I don't have a place to go. Stay in that night, you can go to a friend or a family member stay, but how long can they take you in for?
Yeah.
Went to the council, they said, hey, you're young and fit, you can find a job. And then they gave me a budget, I think like for $394 to find a place. I said, you're not gonna find a room in Islington with that budget, or you can venture out. So yeah, that was the beginning of me, trying to reinvent myself and, coming back with a force.
Would you say that was like the lowest point of your life?
Mentally, emotionally, it was because of the sub factors that occurred during the process. Physically, it was too, because you're sleeping rough. Like people can say, "Oh, I'm your friend, I'm this," but when you're vulnerable, you're into the space for help. That energy might be different, and then I didn't want to feel like I'm a burden to someone else. So I have to take different precautions, which, physically could have been not the best.
So when you were in that situation, did you feel that you found out who your real friends are and who are just friends for the sake of, hi Napa, I know you, and that's it?
It was different because you also got to factor in culture, environment, society in it. The reason why I say that, I told a friend, oh, my dad kicked me out, this is what my dad said, this was a situation. To him it was funny. He didn't believe that your dad would do such thing.
Yeah.
So he didn't take my situation serious. And then I can't convince you, but that's what I'm going through. So for him, it wasn't, okay, this is what you're going through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then other friends, they will see you're going through that, but they can't really take you in because of maybe the mutual relationship that the parents do have. Because if you've been kicked out here and I'm taking you in, that makes your parents look a certain way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, but I understand, but those that came through, those that didn't, I understood where they were coming from.
I think many people in that situation would give up.
100%.
Because in Stratford, we see so many homeless people here, and the council don't do anything. They don't really care. But at the same time, we see the same people over and over again. It's like they've given up on life, and what they do is they fall into bad habits, drink, drugs, and they get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
How did you make sure you didn't fall into them habits?
It was very easy because you got to consider, I'm young, black. It was in my vicinity. I can see it. That was like a way out. You can do something unethical or illegal and make quick buck and pick yourself up. But for me, I think it's like the heart that I have, to, for example, one of my way out, it was 100% maybe join a gang or join some sort of illegal activity, fraud, whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But just the moral aspect of you, maybe defrauding someone, you don't know you don't know the outcome of, the ripple effect that will have on that person. So morally having that, being part of a gang member, there's activities you got to do, harming people.
Yeah.
I ain't got the heart for that. I don't have the heart to hurt someone who just for the sake of doing it or for the sake of something that you're fighting about doesn't really make logical sense. So me putting that into perspective, and I do have like some friends or gang members, I just see how limited they are. I don't want to be like that, bro. Let's go to Finsbury Park. Oh, man, can't go there. Let's go to Stratford. Oh, that's sleeping. Let's go here. It's like, what do you do? So they're just in that postcode 24/7. Or if they're moving about, Uber, cab, like I didn't see myself in that particular lifestyle. So
how did you get up from that situation? I know you met Des Taylor, who I've spoken to a few times. He's a nice guy.
He's a good guy. I like him.
And your book, I'll just show you the book to the camera. becoming the CEO of your life,
Yeah.
you've dedicated that to Des.
100%. Yeah.
Guys, you can buy this book on Amazon. I'll put a link
Mm-hmm.
in the description.
Yeah.
Becoming the CEO of your life, you've dedicated that to Des. So what did he do that so important to you?
Like, Des was, I would say, a male figure that I broke down in front of. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
what he did to me, he didn't have to do. And then there was people that I was looking up to, never took the action. Does that make sense? Like, he literally went out his way to make sure I was good financially, emotionally. Like, he stepped up, you know, because I was, 23? So I was pretty young and naive in most aspects, or very gullible to, or easily influenced because I was vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So he kind of stepped in, you know, helped out where I needed help.
How did you meet him?
So we met through a property course that I did. So that's how we came across, and then we stayed in touch. I joined the mentoring, so that's how we just stayed connected. Because he was frequently present in the meetings or in the masterminds, and we just stayed connected.
Is that the property course that I think either you've written on your website or you've written on in your book that you risked your whole credit card for?
Yeah,
You had no money at the time.
Yeah. Because I spoke to the course provider. Because to me now, I'm like,
Who was the course provider, if you don't mind me asking?
Ashley Banfield.
Okay.
But I think it was under Glenn Armstrong. His name is quite soured now, you know, with whatever, you know, he got going on. But that was the route that I came from, you know. So putting everything into perspective, I'm like, I didn't want to get another job. Like sending CVs, attending, it's like literally that energy left me. I was like, you know, I'm just going to do something for myself. I'll give it a go. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, but then again, you've got obstacles. You know, like the property bars with no money down, you can start.
Yeah.
Like that also influenced me. You know what? I can get into property with no money. Like that's crazy. And then you went in. You got to pay rent. You got to pay this. You got to pay that. You got, you know, this fees. You got, you know, include. So I went in, no money, in negative because I used my credit card. And also thinking about how I'm going to make my next payment. That's when days came in crucial, you know. And then I went in, I started putting myself out there in the property space, viewing properties, making offers, no money, no backing, no investors.
Did you ask for investment? Did you ask people to invest in you?
100%. I had lots of meetings. I met a lot of people. Some said, you know, what you're trying to do in London, which was like rent to rent, it would never work. Why don't you do sourcing for us? Some people were trying to hire me internally to work for them directly for a commission. But then again, just the thought process of being under someone else's mercy, I wasn't feeling that. And then you met some people, they'll say, yeah, I'll be happy to invest in you, I'll put money, ghost, you know, they never fulfill the promises. Until I came across someone else, there was a, you know what, I'm happy to back you, and then we'll do a 50-50 partnership. Yeah. So that's how everything just took off.
Okay, and then how did it take off?
Because I was already out there. Does that make sense? I was already building relationship with agents.
People knew you.
Yeah, but I will make offers. They will see, oh yeah, even there's a lower offer, but he's making something. You know, he's ready to take action. So I kind of, you know, and I was hungry. I needed to make something happen. The moment someone just came through, they had money, I took my first deal. 2 weeks later, my second deal. I think like maybe a month after that, a third, fourth. It was like literally every month or every other month there was something coming in, you know. So yeah, that's what just took off.
So explain to us, for those who don't know, the rent-to-rent model. So how you made money. So maybe talk through your first deal. So
the rent-to-rent model is pretty much where you rent a property off a landlord. It can be direct via an agency, but you rent a property and then you rent out the rooms on an individual basis, and then the income that's coming from those tenants that's paying, you know, on an individual basis, you subtract the money you're paying to the landlord, which is the rent, your bills, what you got left in between, that's your profit.
So how much profit should someone expect to make per month?
It varies. Everyone got different threshold, right? It varies. So for example, like if I'm doing a solo deal, so I talk about deal profiling. So with the deal profiling can consist of the length of the contract, your investment money, how much you're going to invest, your return of investment, and then so you got your contract length, your investment, your profit, and then your return of investment.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So for me, if I'm going to invest on a solo deal, I'm happy to make a minimum of £500, subject to me getting that money back within 10 months. And then my maximum investment on that deal is 5K. And then the left contract is about 3 years.
All your money's come out?
All my money
And
comes
now
out in
it's just
10 months. So within the remaining of the contract, that's just like pure profit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I'm doing a partnership, I want a minimum profit of £800. So if you're going to split on a 50-50 basis, at least I'm making 400, if that makes sense. So in terms of the profit, it truly depends on, you know, how much you want to make, your profile. Some of my clients that I worked with, I think the more you also climb on the ladder, the more you want to be making. So you're not going to entertain a £500 deal or an £800 deal. Maybe now you're going for more quality instead of quantity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it truly depends on, you know, on your appetite.
Okay, and then when you were doing five deals and then you had 10 properties, did you have to recruit anyone, or were you just doing it solo?
Yeah. So one of my key management was having lead tenants. So I would see, let's say for example, on a 5-bed, I'll see who's responsible, who's more, you know, on it. They're very clean, they're easy to communicate with, they get on with everyone, and then I'll potentially hire them as a lead tenant. So I'll give them a discount on the rent, and then they'll look after the property. They'll manage the property.
Yeah.
If someone moves out, I will arrange the viewing and then schedule it with him, and then he will conduct the viewing. And if he secures that client, and then he will get a commission on top of that. Does that make sense? So rather than me conducting the viewings, that person is doing it. And because it's the housemates that's doing it, and then whoever is coming to view the property, if they can get on, because they live there, so they can speak, you know, highly of the place. So, you know, they don't need to do too much selling than me. Does that make sense? Because it's quite natural. So I'll have a lead tenant on most houses. And then we hired a manager. So he was managing every single property. And then, so my job was just close the contracts. So once I close it, pass it down to him. We had 2 members of staff, and then they will just, one of them will get the property ready, and then one will tenant it. So I'll find, pass it down, they'll get it ready, and one is responsible for tenanting.
So when did you actually get into doing property mentoring, and why? So
property mentoring, when I had my 4th deal, right, I went into progressive property. And then because with my story, how I came up, I was quite known as well. You know, it was quite fascinating. So people was asking me loads of questions, and I was just helping out. I'll meet people. That was just my nature. I'll just meet and help.
Yeah.
And then I went to progressive. You know, I think I had like a misopi, and then Rob Moore before he went on stage. I said, Rob, there's people asking me for, you know, to mentor them. They'll pay me, but I don't feel I'm worthy or credible enough or have, you know, the experience to help. He goes, okay, how many rent students do you have? I said, I've got 4. He goes, okay, you can teach someone to give from 0 to 4. Once they want to get to 5, then they don't need your service no more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. I took it on board, but I never actually, you know, mentored people on that aspect. I was still focusing on growing my business. And then I think it was like 2019, I believe. Like now everything is systemized, you peaked, then I got more free time. Then I said, okay, whoever needs help with the rental business, meet me in this location, which was in, you know, Angel, Starbucks in Islington. Meet me there. This is the time slot. come with any questions. Bro, I was surprised. People came from Manchester, like Kent, all of that. I was like, raw.
That's more than what KSI gets in his meet and greets.
Bro, no one paid me. It was free, right? But just the length of people traveled, that what surprised me. They came, we sat down, I helped them with what I needed to. And then the next day they start messaging me, how much you charge for your mentoring? How much is this? Then I was like, I might as well just
make a business out of it.
That's how it started.
So what advice do you give to your mentors on how to get into property? So I'm guessing a lot of people come to you and they're like, we don't have experience, we just want to make money. So what are the advices you give?
So what I usually say to people is like, you need to know what you're doing. You need to come in with the right mindset. Most people do come into the stride or into property because they've seen a lot of catch or hook phases, no money down, getting for free, stuff like that. So they look into the situation and then they want to come in, think it will be an easy ride. It's like any other businesses. Like, in order for you to build something that's sustainable and give you adequate income, it requires work. So when they're coming in, they want to tell me they want to get in, I always say to them, listen, you want to make sure you have the right mindset, expect to put in work, and then make sure this is part of your purpose, or you have a strong why behind it that will sustain you when things get difficult.
Do you ever turn away clients?
100%, there are lots.
What's the reason you turn them away?
Mindset, because I'm pretty passive and mellow. I don't want someone that will come in that will nag all the time, that will moan all the time, or that won't take responsibility. But just because I have a mentor, if I don't get particular results, it's your fault. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'm only here to help and guide you. The action and what you gotta do is it gotta come from you. So that's like one of the major factor. And then, as I said before, like the mindset. Once they're coming in, I've seen this ad where you can make money from prompting doing this, doing that. Like, bro, it doesn't work like that. It's challenging.
Do you ever have mentors who come to you after they've joined you and they're like, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, 100%. It depends, because I have a time frame. You committed, unless it's like something very vital. There's a strong reason behind that you can't do.
Yeah.
But if you want to quit, you quit. But if you want to achieve something greater, you got to persist and get it happen.
Okay. Let's talk about your book, because you're speaking about mindset, and in this book you do talk a lot about mindset.
Yeah.
Firstly, what made you write the book? So you've got 2 other books, right?
Yeah, so this is my 3rd book.
So what's the first 2?
So the first one is the Renter and Blueprint, and then the second one is the Renter and Blueprint 2.
Yeah. So we spoke about it before off air, but the reason I chose to read this book is the others are a bit more niche and this is a bit more general.
Yeah.
And you talk about mindset in there. Define mindset, or define your mindset.
So like mindset is your ability of you saying stuff and how you react to it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So if you see something negative, how do you react to it? If you see something positive, how do you react to it? I think there was a part in the book where I discussed saying that if you go into a particular route, you've been attacked, let's say, gang attacked. Most people will stop going through that route because they have a negative experience. But if you go to a different route, you have positive experience, you keep going through that. So it's your ability on how you see stuff and how you react to it. Okay,
so what made you write the book?
Well, this one all...
You didn't even know English when you came to the country.
Nah.
So...
Do you know, sometimes I just look at, okay, in my family, my direct family, no one graduated. I was the first. Let's exclude my dad, like for my tree down. Masters, I'm the first to get. And then when I looked around, there wasn't any authors, in my family tree. So I was like, that was one of the motivation to write. But one of the other motivation was I wanted to touch as many people as possible, without my presence. Because I can't meet every single person, I can't speak to every single person. And one of the ways of reaching out to a large base of audiences, maybe putting it for a book, a podcast, or YouTube.
You do put a lot of videos out as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
On YouTube and your website.
Yeah, my YouTube, I haven't done, a hell of a lot, but which is like this year I really want to get into to push my YouTube out there, but I haven't really done a lot on my YouTube. My social media, yeah, but not so much on my YouTube.
Okay. You talk about vision in the book. You used to daydream a lot when you were younger. Do you still daydream now?
Yeah, 100%.
So, what do you daydream about?
Success, life.
Okay, define success, because everyone's success is different.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So, what's your success?
So for me, success is having the ability of doing what you want, when you want, and who you want to do it to, having a full control of your life, and then doing what you enjoy doing and getting paid for it. That's to me, that's success.
So, do you think you do that now?
100%, 100%. I mean, 100% control of my time. I do. If I say I don't want to mentor, like for the past year or so,
Don't do it.
I didn't do a lot of mentoring because I didn't want to. I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to focus on buying my properties. I can shift and divert into different aspects and still enjoy it. If I fall out of love with it or I don't want to do it no more, I don't have to do it just for the sake of money or because I need to do it to survive. Does that make sense? So for me to be in a position where I can just move how I want to move, for example, I was in Madeira last week, right?
Yeah. By the Ronaldo statue.
Yeah,
We'll put what you did by the statue on
or
video.
the suit. Like the only reason, because I wasn't feeling too well, and then I heard, okay, next week will be very cold. You know what? Because I'm not feeling too well. It was literally spontaneous. Let me book and go.
Yeah.
And having the ability to do that's success for me. I didn't have to ask a manager for a holiday. I didn't have to sit and think about, oh, you know what? I need to save money. Or let's go.
So success too isn't just about money. It's about time as well. Yeah, freedom of time.
Freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom of everything that not everything, because you can't, but what is more tangible to me, I can pretty much obtain.
So what do you do like day to day? Is it vary every week, or if you want to lie in and you don't want to do anything, could you do that? Could you afford to do that?
Yeah, I can afford. Because right now, even for my, growing my property portfolio, I have a great team that manages the refurb. I have a great connection of agents, of people that can bring me deals. So I just have to make sure what's going on is being done adequately. The growth is, I just control the top end.
Yeah.
And sometimes I dive into, prepare some stuff, but majority of the time I'm just, speaking to brokers, solicitors, accountants, like building relationship with investors, just like more relationship building just to grow the business.
Do you have a financial goal figure, financial freedom figure? Or is it more?
Do you know what? I passed that stage.
Yeah.
When I started, I was, I want to be making 10K per month. I want to be making 3K per month. But now it's like, it's part of a life, so it's in me, It's like, now let's just grow and think about the legacy, think about leaving stuff behind.
It's interesting you say that because we spoke to Sean Lan, I'm not sure if you know him, on one of the podcasts. He said when his property portfolio was at £1 million, that's when he realized there's a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
Motio says similar, that he's financially free, and now it's like he just does whatever he wants to do in terms of he creates deals and he just goes out to help people.
Yeah.
Now you're saying the same. So everyone seems to have that one financial freedom figure or a target, and then after that it's like, you know what, it's more the time and it's more helping others or leaving a legacy.
100%. Because at the end of the day, right, I believe your purpose is not for you, it's for other people, right? You can get religious to it, let's say, for example, I'm Christian, you say like Jesus Christ came like to save the world, or, it wasn't for him, he died for for everyone else. So whatever purpose that you've got in you, make it broad, look at footballers.
Yeah.
Like they can enjoy it, but it's more for the entertainers, for the viewers, for the fans. Does that make sense? So whatever you've got that you can propel to your vision or your purpose, it's for other people.
Okay. What's your next dream? Because you talk about dreaming in the book, as in just in general, not daydreaming, now dreaming.
Yeah.
What's your next dream?
Like for me, I look at the advantageous position, right? I came from nothing, And then let's say, for example, if my parents do, you know, pass away, I won't have nothing left for me to inherit or to carry on. So for me, it's now let's grow. Let's give the next generation that's gonna come up an advantageous position. You know, financially, mentally, even knowledge-wise. You know, they have the information, the connection for them to grow. Because I think it's a race, right? You know, you run, then you pass the baton over, someone else does it. You know, so I think that's like my vision or my daydreaming right now. What can I do to grow this empire where some people can just come in and then keep the legacy growing and keep it on?
Okay, and you're buying properties now as well, isn't it? When and where was the first property you bought?
The first property was bought in 2020. I think it was like November or October. It was bought in the northeast of England, in County Durham. That was the first property that I bought. And then the second property was next road. So pretty much the growth of my property has been within that region.
So you live in London.
Yeah.
But why did you choose to invest in the northeast?
The yields, the returns were greater.
What's the returns?
So you're looking about, for example, like your return of capital employed. Some of my deal is infinite because I pulled out all the money back out. Some of them, so I base on 20% plus.
Okay, that's a.
You know, so that's like
good.
very decent returns.
Yeah.
Some of the deals you leave like next to nothing in.
Yeah.
You know, within a year you put everything back out. It's just like now you've owned a property that you have no investment in.
What kind of rents do you achieve? Like
So the
£400-500 a month.
So the rent has gone up. I don't think you get anything for 400 now. So
Okay.
you're looking about, in my area when I started, it was like, oh yeah, you can get like 425, 475. That property is rented out for 600.
You know, the one thing I have reservations about
Mm-hmm.
investing in the northeast is if your boiler breaks, that's 2, 3, 4 months rent.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas here it's a bit different. But then if you're under mortgage, the cash flow it still adds up. But
Yeah.
there, if your boiler breaks, that's 4 months rent, and that's if you don't have a mortgage.
Exactly. But then you can also look at it in a way like the entry cost is not the greatest. And then it can also be like your learning playground before you touch the bigger stuff. Because if you do get a deal down here in London or South, you mess up, that's a lot of money, you know, being messed up.
Yeah.
But up there, you know, you can kind of get the experience, create your portfolio, create your returns, and then, you know, you can have options where you want to go next.
Is that what you plan to do?
That's my plan, yeah.
So did you go to Portugal to invest as well?
Absolutely not. I don't even speak Portuguese. I think one of the greatest advice I received as well when I started was invest where you are, where you can commute, where you can understand the language.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't speak Portuguese. I have no knowledge of the market. Either, so I believe UK, England is, you know, the best property investment country to do so.
Yeah, a lot of people, we do get a lot of foreign investment here, but I think a lot of UK people are looking towards Middle East now to invest as well.
Yeah.
Especially after the World Cup. I've had a few people after the World Cup saying, how do you think market is in Qatar? I said, bruv, I'm East London.
Exactly. You're like, yeah, you just got to, you know, invest where you know.
Yeah. Do you mentor people buying property as well?
Yeah. The choice that I do, yeah.
Okay. I might have something for you. We've introduced a segment where we asked our Instagram followers, we give them a little profile. We said, look, you've arrived in the UK when you were 10 years old, you were homeless, you're also an Amazon best-selling author, and you're a property investor. So some of the questions which were quite interesting, one was, so after your struggle was over, so after the homeless stage, what did you buy with your first real paycheck? So your first bit of disposable income, what did you buy?
I bought a Jaguar.
No way. A car, not the animal, yeah?
A car.
Do you still have it?
Nah, I had 2 cars. I had a Merc and a Jag, which made no sense at all.
Yeah, so what was your thought process? He's a car man, by the way.
He's a car guy, nice one guy. Do you know what? I call it new money syndrome, where you just buy stuff for the sake of buying, or I don't know, man. but it made no sense of me having 2 cars.
Yeah.
I also end up losing my license. Now I've got 2 cars stuck with me, no
Wait,
driver's license.
We need to talk about this. How do you lose your license?
I just maxed it out. Speeding, insurance.
Do you still have a license? Oh, you drove here, innit?
Yeah, I got my license back now. I was only suspended for 6 months.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
mad. So your first, basically because of your first real paycheck, you
Yeah.
lost your license.
No, it wasn't. It could have contributed. You know, Jag, they're quite fast cars, man. You know,
I've driven a Jag once.
because you can speed, but you're not feeling it
Hey,
inside.
Jag, you sponsor us, man.
You know what? So yeah, that was.
Okay, another question. This is an interesting one. So, to get to where you are today, is it mindset, is it luck, is it hard work, or is it all three?
I don't really believe in luck. I would say it's mindset and hard work.
Or do you believe in destiny?
Destiny. Elaborate.
So do you believe? I believe that things are written for us, but we still have to work towards it.
100%. 100%.
But we can't sit here and expect money to fall from the tree. But we have to go out, and then opportunities come.
100%. Everyone's life is written, right?
Yeah.
But how you obtain what's there for you is entirely up to you.
At what age did you learn to read and write? That was asked by a panel, by the way. Because your book was written in English, and it is like, okay, you didn't know how to speak English, and now you've written a book. I've known English since I was a kid. I've never written a book. I just think it's too long.
Yeah.
But at what age did you learn to read and
I
write?
don't know. When you go to school, I think my English kind of got better, I would say year 9.
Okay.
Because, you know, year 6, I was still finding my way. 7, 8, you're still finding words. I think like year 9, I was more fluent.
And another question, what advice would you give to your 9-year-old self if you had to do things differently?
My 9-year-old self, I would say get a mentor quick. Or it's hard to pinpoint what you want to do, but be entrepreneurial and try everything out. Once you find what you like, find someone, just model them. It's so easy.
But would you say to find someone who's close to you in age or career-wise, or would you say find someone who's like really experienced? Because there was a post going around on LinkedIn, and someone was saying that when you're starting off in your career as a graduate, for example, look at someone who's 25, 26, not someone who's 40, 50, because their experiences is completely different to what applies now.
Yeah, I would say so, because if someone is really matured, they may not have because you evolve, things change along the way. Does that make sense? So the current knowledge, they may not have that, even though they may have the experience to know the roots.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I would say you can have someone that is far ahead, because they can kind of give you data, but maybe have someone that's also not far from you. They can relate to what you're going through, or you know what challenges you're facing, so they can kind of pinpoint you on which direction to go.
Okay, and someone who wants to, not necessarily in property, but someone who wants to make them something of themselves, what's your 3 tips?
Find your purpose. I always talk about purpose, right? It's really big. Take time to really understand what you want to do in life. Don't be money driven, but I would say if you're going to have to do something over and over and not get paid for it, what would that be? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then once you identify that, just attack it.
I just want to go back to the Des Taylor, because you've written in your book that 2015 was a year that turned you into a man. It's when you faced your hardest battles physically, mentally, and emotionally. Therefore, you'd like to dedicate this book to a great man. What does Des mean to you?
But Des is just a G, man. Like, the reason why I felt so connected to Des, you know, when you grow up, you didn't really have a strong relationship with your father. So you always seek that male figure to relate to, you know, to pinpoint you for direction. Because at times you can sit down and you just be very lost, and you just want that male guidance, and then you ain't got that. When that appears at the right time, you know, I couldn't take it for granted. You know, what I have to do is appreciate.
Are you still in touch? Of course.
Yeah, we're still in touch.
Regular.
Yeah.
Des, for those that don't know, Des Taylor he's not a solicitor, but he helps estate agencies or landlords fight against the government or the council when it comes to licensing and compliance, because everyone knows how cheeky the council can be. So Des is that person, that go-to person, and he's helped some of our landlords actually. Quick fire round. Favorite holiday destination?
Favorite holiday, Miami.
Have you been there?
305, Miami, hands down.
Favorite food?
Favorite food. Now we gotta be very specific. Are we going global? Are we going traditional? Or where are we going?
Global. Global, and give us a traditional one as well.
Oh man, I'm so Congolese. Like traditional, I would say pondu and rice.
What is that?
I don't know how to say, like cassava leaves, you know. If I would say, I like Chinese food. That's what I say. Hey, I swear Chinese. Yeah, I like Chinese food.
Do you have something called shima or maize, corn flour, in Congo?
What, like fufu?
Yeah. Do you call it fufu?
Yeah.
So in Zambia, so when I went recently in my family, they have shima, which is I think the same thing, just corn flour.
Yeah, we have that too, yeah.
If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
If I was a superhero, what superpower I would like to have? I'd like to be invisible, man. Just invisible and just lurk on people and see what they do. See what they're doing and get some valuable content.
Favorite football player?
Favorite football player? Dennis Bergkamp and Kaka.
Bergkamp. What football team do you support?
Arsenal.
If you support Liverpool, I was going to say, you know that Mitoma goal on the weekend? The Brighton goal against Liverpool. I
didn't see. You know what, Liverpool, they fell off the map so much I gave up.
It was like Dennis Bergkamp against Argentina.
Was it the one that he flipped behind all
No, do you know the World Cup one?
Control and volley?
The control and volley.
Yeah.
Mitoma scored a very similar one.
Is it?
He's hating because he's a Liverpool fan, but
yeah.
Then the Napoli striker, I forgot his name. He scored a similar goal yesterday as well.
Is it? But Bergkamp is just a different player. He plays like on a bird eye view. For this season, I don't know what happened to you guys. I don't know if it was the Mane curse.
I don't support them. I'm anti-Liverpool.
Who do you support?
Man United. You know, at top of the table, so let's not talk football. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I don't really use LinkedIn as much, but I would say Instagram. Okay,
so we'll put Napa's socials. If you want to get in touch, any advice about property, Napa's your man. Napa, thank you very much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure. I hope your story has inspired a lot of people. And like I said before, anyone want to get in touch with Napa, we'll put his socials. Also, like, comment and subscribe to this video. And I'll put a link to buy this book and his other books in the description.
Yeah. Thank you for having me as well, bro.
That's all right, man.
Appreciate it.